Welcome to Voices in Hyperspace, where friends get together and talk about all things sci-fi. I'm Legendary Black Lion.
I'm Captain Melisilo.
I'm Nita Painter.
Hey y'all, this is Sunday.
So we are on Season 2, Episode 4, entitled A Distant Star. And we get to have a little bit of fun with these characters. We just finished our watch party, and I'm just gonna go ahead and jump in with my overall impression. I thought that this was a little fun, actually. It looked like all the actors were really breathing in their own space.
I really enjoyed the episode, given some context into our new commander's past and the evolution that he went on. I enjoyed it.
What did the guy call him?
Swamp
Rat face?
rat. Swamp rat.
It is super cute to see him like meet his friend and have his friend talk crap, even in like official communication.
Well, they even introduced that character with his feet kicked up. His vest or his suit jacket was undone, and he's laying back in his chair, feet kicked up, and he's super casual with everything. Yeah, his name is Maynard. Maynard. Yeah. So
Maynard.
like the tow truck off of Cars.
In general, this definitely felt more filler-ish. You know what I mean? The characters, the only character that changed was Sheridan. The other characters seem to be more of exploring more of their comic side, their goofy side, more personality and less drama for the most part. Well, except for Delia.
Yeah, I like the joke that, what's the woman's name?
Ivanova?
Not Delia, but the Russian lady. Yeah. When she was talking about her borders expanding. That was funny.
Beautiful borders.
I am the Russian expanding Russian border.
Yep.
She looked at the menu and was like, I'm going to get fat with this.
In the right places. The doc was not being silly about that. He knew he had his intentions. I know if you eat these foods, they'll go straight to that booty.
Ass. So I really did enjoy like the whole interaction with all of the doctor and the patients this time around. I am a lot into health and nutrition, and people have goals and objectives, but then when you point out to them that their diet and lifestyle isn't in alignment with what they want, it's always a bunch of crying and whining. And for the police chief to be injured and in recovery, the doctor was like, you need this like certain vitamins and minerals in order to obtain that goal, and the way that you eat is like really out of whack. And he was definitely throwing a whole tantrum about having his menu changed.
It made me think too, because they're still in outer space. Like, they're still in a giant spinning space station. And I don't care how much artificial gravity you have, they don't have the mass of a planet pulling on them. So it made me think, like, the doctor really is, he has really good concerns, especially with a serious injury, a serious wound, like getting shot in the back. I do wish that they could have expanded on that, but I also know, like, it was the 90s. They had a time budget, and maybe they didn't know as much because of do y'all remember, was there an International Space Station during 92, 93? I'm not remembering this very well, but I don't think they knew much about how outer space living affected people.
Right. Because the lack of gravity changed their body mass.
Yeah.
because their muscles weren't working as much, and their bone structure decreased as well.
Yeah.
And didn't Ivanova break her ankle? So
Yeah, she was over there hobbling
her
around.
healing is being affected by that as well.
Yeah, the only thing I can think of is it was explained pretty good in The Expanse. One of the ships came to a fast stop and people got injured badly, and they're like, we need gravity, because without gravity, blood is just going to pool up and float. It doesn't have anywhere to drain, and they wouldn't be able to help people. And so they had to go through this long ordeal to spin the drum of this giant spaceship so they could have artificial gravity, so then they could treat people. Babylon 5 has the artificial gravity, which I think at some point in this episode you got to see the background a little bit more. It's either this episode or, I looked ahead and watched the next couple of episodes, so it might be this one or the other two. But it's cool to kind of think about those things. I'm just being a super nerd about it. In this episode, the only thing that I really have to say about Franklin is being a food Nazi.
Wow.
And everybody, even the captain, are like scared of him. And I think that's pretty hilarious, but it also shows like the seriousness of what his responsibilities are.
He kind of it felt like he was overstepping. It's like, how are you going to tell me what to eat? Because they're not like understanding of him telling them this, because it doesn't seem, if it was in like the regulation that the doctor could change your diet, which I guess normally doctors can, but not like people do. I thought that was a good, like, lighthearted way to have a storyline for what I think the theme was, which is control. So people either have control over things or they're losing control over things throughout the show.
I like that. I was looking at one of the sub themes of, there's two of them. One of them is friendship. And the other is a sense of purpose. And the friendship part is Sheridan and Maynard are old friends. Sheridan served under Maynard at one point. And it also kind of points out like the style of adventurism Sheridan was looking for. The Cortez is I was going to say an adventure ship. It's an exploratory ship. They're doing like surveys of unexplored parts of the galaxy, which they always talk about the rim in this series. So humans are really pushing their boundaries as far as like what they can learn and what they can see, which I think is really, really cool. But also, you see, again, the Cortez, they have kind of like a casual atmosphere. It's I don't know what to say, because in Star Trek they try to keep that military hierarchy and command like really not super rigid but solid. But on the Maynard ship, this dude was barely dressed. So what did y'all think of how Sheridan and Maynard's friendship was portrayed?
I did not like very much that the Maynard was insinuating that the career path that Sheridan is on is not, that he's not suited for it.
Yeah.
Like, bestie up. Just because he's not, still out commanding a ship doesn't mean that the direction that he is going is like, not in line with his purpose.
I kind of empathize with Sheridan on this. It was like, because he did, like, as far as what we learned from his relationship, he's always wanted to be exploratory. And the captain of the Cortez doesn't see him being on a space station as exploratory. And he forgets that when he tells him that. But in the episode when he meets his sister, he can't stop talking about all of the things that he's learned and explored just on that station. Like, you don't have to go out to the rim to explore. And it made him, I'm going far, but it made him compare the love for exploring to the petty monotony of like dealing with diplomats who want to act like toddlers.
Yeah. Right.
There is no win.
And I strongly am curious whether they're using inappropriate language by calling it exploring. Well, what y'all really out there doing is like the original Cortez did. You discovering some shit that already existed. That's not a discovery. And where they were before is no longer really considered the rim, because they just going out there and adding more jump gates and, colonizing their way into the galaxy is what it sounded like to me.
I mean, yeah, that's the big part of space politics. All those different species are claiming and fighting over territory. And the human, well, I don't know if it was exactly the humans' idea, but part of what they're doing, I guess, along with the Minbari, is trying to like, let's do this peacefully. It makes me think about how big the galaxy actually is and how much of it these species have claimed. Because, I mean, granted, I'm over here thinking about Star Trek. Star Trek, there's a whole quadrant they haven't even really mapped or looked at. And there's alien species out there, and the Federation's all like, we need to build diplomacy. We need to expand the Federation. It's pretty cool. But in B5, the unfortunate part of some of their technology limitations of the show is they don't really show the galaxy that much, and they don't show them going unknown places. In fact, well, they don't show it that much. The only unknown place we get to see is pretty much like, what the heck is that in hyperspace, and why do so many ships get lost?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's hard to show exploring the galaxy when you're on a space station. Like, we didn't go that far when it came to Deep Space Nine, because we stayed on station most of the time, or with the planet that was there. And then I also thought about Star Trek 2, where at least when they went to go explore, they eventually got a prime directive where they can't just interfere with other people. It's like, you gotta give them a choice to say they want to join the Federation or not. Yeah.
Yeah. To get back to B5. So yeah, we know that Maynard's ship is stopping at B5 for resupply and repairs and whatnot. There is a couple of interesting scenes, and one of my favorite scenes, I even took some time to like clip out some sound bites for it for our TikTok. Hey everybody, go join our TikTok. Where they're all sitting down and telling stories. There's a couple of things that I noticed. One, there's a pilot who's been on the show a couple of times, and they're showing him again this time. And I can't for the life of me remember his name. I'll probably remember it next episode. But there's him, Ivanova, Sheridan. I think the other. I even have his name. The other pilot. His name is Gallus. We'll get back to Gallus here in a minute. Hold on. But they're having a discussion about like the strange things that Maynard has seen exploring, and then they get into kind of like a ghost story, which I thought they did this part very well. A ghost story about seeing things living in hyperspace, and they're having like, nothing can live in hyperspace, that's impossible. And he kind of tells her like, oh, I don't know, I've seen something. And of course Sheridan has to be super nosy about it. And so he's questioning Maynard more about it. And I thought that was interesting because this is where they get to open up a little bit more lore. This is a part of the story where they're like, okay, this episode is not going to do much, but the thing that we're going to do is make you think about what, like, some of the things you've seen. We want you to think about those mysterious ships that we've already seen destroy an outpost.
Mm-hmm.
When it comes to Gallus, what did y'all notice about Gallus? He's the other fighter pilot.
Which fighter pilot? The older one or the young one? The one that got promoted at the end?
No, he's the other one.
He knows him very well.
Let me help you out.
I watched it twice too.
Let me help you out. Gallus is the black fighter pilot.
Oh, I noticed his mustache. Yeah, so.
And where was Gallus at the end of the episode?
Was he? He won't there, right?
Yeah, he died.
Yeah, he died. Okay. He was
fast enough.
Let me not call him a red shirt.
Hold on, say that again, Nita.
I said I couldn't get to my laptop fast enough. Yeah, he was the black dude that died in this episode.
Yeah. And I know I'm taking a long rabbit trail for us to get here, but I think we should get here before this distracts us for the rest for other parts of the episode. But the reason why I know his name is Gallus, first off, I'm gonna say this because this will be helpful. This is just me having fun. I'm not saying anything terribly serious. This is just having fun. But do you think something like the Bechdel test exists for just black characters in general? Because I noticed, do you know what the Bechdel test is?
Does it have something to do with them not surviving in the show?
So the Bechdel test is this goes back to like a web comic. The parameters are the character would not watch any movie that didn't have two women that both had names and had conversations about anything other than a man.
Oh, that test.
Yeah. Which when you like there's nothing terribly serious about the Bechdel test. That was just something that someone wrote, and it makes you think. Is like, oh shoot, we don't know if there are that many movies that are like that. And virtually, I'm gonna say this: most movies fail that test. In other words, there are a lot of movies that have women in them, but a lot of the dialogue of the women are talking about the men in the movies.
It's stereotypical,
right? Like the women are used as objects to move the story along one way or another, and as characters themselves, they don't have agency.
Right.
Which
they're kind of like the stereotypical, like what is it? I lost the words. Like the toxic men's idea of what a woman is. Right. A very shallow idea of what a woman is. So this guy may be a very shallow idea of what a black guy is, and then they kill him.
Well, hold on. Let's think about this. Let's think about this. Because Maynard had a name.
Mm-hmm.
Maynard had lines, and he actually offered like some stuff to the conversation. So he actually, to me, and I can be wrong, he actually came across as kind of like a full fleshed out character. He wasn't just like an extra in the background that dies for no reason. Now he died for no reason, but
well, and we were at least told that like a rescue mission like this doesn't happen.
Yeah, and I think he was the one that objected to. Well, he didn't object. He's the one that brought up problems in the rescue mission.
Mm-hmm.
So I just thought it was interesting. I don't think it's super serious. Honestly, I think the writers were being very careful with how they depicted human characters, especially black presenting characters. a lot in this show. In fact, I think they do pretty well with being inclusive and not doing certain stereotypical things, even though they're in the 90s. I think this show, like the show in general, granted with all the different problems that they had to kind of like figure out what they're doing, they, on the writing side and on the character development side, I think they've done pretty well.
Yeah. I mean, this is the second one, the black guy to die, though. Even though, like, okay, maybe Michael didn't necessarily die, he ascended.
He ascended.
That's the complete opposite of dying.
He became one with the universe. Yeah.
Okay, we're gonna say he didn't die. His flesh died, but he ascended. So this is the first one to technically die, and the other one's a doctor. So
yeah, Dr. Franklin. He's kind of ruling everything right now in this episode.
Yeah.
So Franklin is checking out Garibaldi in Med Bay. He's the one that's giving him the nutrition plan.
The food plan.
I'm sorry. Yeah, a food plan, not a diet. A food
I wrote that down because I'm like, really? He's like, oh, it's a diet? He's like, no, it's a food plan. I'm like, you trying to gaslight him?
He was like, no, food plan. I looked up Garibaldi's favorite dish. This is wild. So banya chowder, which I remember hearing that as a kid, and I was like, I don't know what that is. It sounds foreign.
Was there a joke made in this episode? Was there a joke made with that about? Yes.
It was. I
didn't understand it.
It was Delenn ratting Garibaldi out.
Yeah, she thought it was a new delegate coming to the station.
Yeah.
Oh.
She didn't know. She just thought it was like, I want to meet the new people. Like,
yeah, I was confused.
She thought it was aliens. No, it's just some Italian dish.
And the person that she told it to was specifically Franklin, which as much as I talk bad about Garibaldi being nosy and being in everybody's business, Franklin is even worse when he wants to be. I thought that was just so funny. So I went up and looked up banya chowder, and this stuff is wild. Have you ever had fondue before?
I've had chocolate fondue, but no, not the cheese one. That sounds like it's supposed to be like.
In my past life, when I did consume dairy, I've had fondue twice, and it's like I think the way that they do it now, it's all about the experience, right? But this is really wild. So what they said, the ingredients are olive oil, anchovies, and bread. Those are like the main ingredients. But Garibaldi was talking about, the way that we do it is you put like a half pound of butter in it. I'm like, what?
Like, you put butter in fat.
And then garlic. And then, I was looking this up. I found that people make it different ways. But the thing that grosses me all the way out was anchovies. I'm like, have you ever eaten anchovies before?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, anchovies.
No.
Anchovies are gross.
Cousin who would eat them out of a can. She put hot sauce on them anchovies and just pop them in her mouth.
She nasty.
A long time ago, as a teenager, we had anchovies for the first time, and on crackers with some hot sauce was actually kind of decent. At least to me. That's the only time I've ever had them, though. I think. May have had them since then.
I think there were 2 times in my life where I deliberately ate anchovies. One, I was really good friends with some Koreans I went to college with. They're like, you need to come over. My mom's going to cook for you. And they had like a little tray of anchovies, like a ramekin. And my one friend, he's just popping them in his mouth, eating them like, these are good. And I'm like, those are anchovies. And I ate one. I was like, no, thank you. I don't need this anymore.
I guess because it's just like fat and salt. Like, it's just oily and salty.
It's oily, salty. It has a very strong salty flavor, and it has like to me that fishy
Mm-hmm.
flavor, and I was just like, not for me. The other time was at Buca di Beppo, which is an Italian restaurant, and they had like anchovies in a salad, and I had one
Caesar
bite. Is that what it is?
with white sauce.
I don't remember. It was a while ago.
Because I learned that people eat Caesar salad with anchovies.
And those people
I
would
didn't
be
know that.
wrong. I respect their opinions and other people's cultures, but those people are just wrong. But yeah, and it's funny because bagna cauda is regarded as an Italian dish, but it originated in France. It just became super popular in Italy during the 1600s, and now it's in outer space.
Okay. You know what? Now that I hear the particulars about like things being crossed from different European countries, and then I think about how small Europe is, and I'm like, oh, okay, y'all moved it like a few miles.
Yeah, you just walked from over here to over there. Garibaldi protests. We actually see Franklin give 3 of those food plans, to Garibaldi, to Ivanova, to Sheridan. And remember when they sat down to eat and they were like, oh, we're going to, I'm going to eat this and you eat that. Did y'all see what these people were eating?
Yeah. Well, Ivanova had like Alfredo.
I
guess
know.
Pasta. Like, why was that on the plan? Like, why
So she
did you
can
need to get
Hurts.
her? Why would you want to gain weight if you're healing from a broken leg, like ankle? Like, why did you want to not put weight on the ankle? But I think maybe he wanted her to have more calcium. So he gave her dairy, which is like very 90s thing to do, I guess, because you can get a good source of calcium from plenty of vegetables. And then the calcium, not to be a conspiracy theorist, but the calcium that's in milk doesn't actually come from the milk. They started putting it in milk in order to advertise it as something to eat.
Yeah.
A long time ago, like I think in the around the time TV came out, like the 30s or something,
Really?
30s or 40s. Yeah. So like people thinking that dairy is a source of calcium is like, no, they just made it a source of calcium. It's literally a supplement.
Yeah, it's a supplement.
Yeah.
Which,
Wow.
like, you would think that like the officers would be getting supplements anyway, right?
Right.
Right.
And also, like, I'm confused by, like, if you're living on a space station, why isn't most of your nutrition just, like, packaged? Like, I don't know, maybe because of the capitalist thing, whatever, and the show wants to, like, humanize them. But shouldn't most of what they need come in some type of other form that's been packaged so that it can efficiently be transferred and stuff? Like, because they already have trouble, like, growing certain things, or only certain people can have water. So, like, why aren't there more supplements? Why can't you just give them some, like, food tablets to give them what they need to heal? And, like, we got those now.
Didn't the doctor say that he would speed up the healing for one of them or both of them?
I think it was
like 3 or something.
Yeah, I think it was Ivanova because she broke her foot, and he said we could speed up the healing, and then she was all like, "What could you do about the pain?" And he was all like, "Oh, I can give you some pain pills." And then she goes, "Never mind, I'll just deal with it." And I'm like,
Yeah,
that's a weird conversation
So
to
they-
have.
they got some kind of technology for healing.
They got that alien machine.
Yeah.
But can you grow another arm in it?
We'll find
Probably
out
not.
in the future.
Yeah.
I don't know. Probably. But the food that they were eating, so Ivanova was eating an Alfredo. Garibaldi had like a keto meal. Cause his meal plan was like no fat, no sugar,
Well, you can have fat in a keto, but his didn't have.
Well, you know what I
fat
mean.
in it.
He had the Atkins diet. Then he had.
Yeah.
And then Sheridan could only have a salad, which is wild because that dude has only been seen eating oranges since he got on the station.
He's gonna have whatever the opposite of scurvy is. He's gonna get that for eating all these oranges.
He's gonna have citric acid poisoning or something. I don't know.
Can you get too much sugar from eating too many oranges? Is he at risk of diabetes from oranges?
I think what they're saying is, Sheridan's eating something else that we don't see him eating, and I'm not going to continue that because there's a joke that we need to say for later in the season. So Ivanova and Sheridan have their heart to heart about how he changed things. You know, he seemed different since Maynard showed up, and then that's when he has this breakdown about his position on the station. And his whole thing is like, this again makes me think of another show. He has this breakdown about wanting to be on the rim, wanting to explore. And it makes me think about him in Star Trek. Those people, like when they do it really good, people nerd out and look so excited and joyful about being explorers. And that's what I was getting from Sheridan in that moment. And his frustration with being a bureaucrat, which I think that contrast helps the audience feel it because it's like you see the stack of papers, which by the way, let's do some comparison. Just like in like between this and the Expanse. In the Expanse, there was virtually no paper. The only paper were the humans' clothes on Earth. Everybody else had like tablets and very small computers. Makes perfect sense because you got to move a lot of weight in space. They're printing out papers and newspapers and those those clear overhead projector papers.
You know what the resources are to grow trees, or maybe they're making the paper out of something else.
Right.
And then it could be synthetic paper.
Yeah, but then they're sending it to outer space.
Giving rock, paper, scissors.
Yeah. Did they not have the tech? Well, you know what? I mean, I was about to say, do they not have the technology to show them using computers? But then I think of the original Star Trek where they don't have paper, they have computers. You don't have to see the screen. You can read things off of a computer and just see the back of the computer. There ain't got to be nothing on there.
And on the Next Generation, they had those little pads, which now I have one, a little computer pad. But you know what? That could be a totally like, well, let's not steal that idea. But it makes sense to do in outer space. You know what I'm saying? It's like
right. 200 years in the future.
Yeah,
we still using paper. I don't know why that's probably because I live now. Probably in 2002 when I was in high school, we all had laptops. So why not 200 years in the future do you all not have computers?
Well, also, think about it. Last season, Londo had his purple files being hacked from the station and being sent to someone else in outer space. So the tools are there to kind of figure out this problem, but I think they really wanted us to see the messiness of bureaucracy, to see all the paperwork. You know what I mean?
It wasn't a visual to see the messy desk.
Yeah, which I still think is hilarious because it's outer space. Like they shouldn't really have desks, but whatever.
I really like how they were portraying Sheridan. Like, I don't know. It was almost like he was flippant about the menial job that other people had to do, and he didn't sound very interested. But I think that they did a really good job with not letting him just run off and jump into one of those planes.
Yes,
go searching for the conquistador, whatever the
Cortez.
Yes, to go searching for them. And even Ivanova, she was understanding of how yes, you want to go do that, but the captain's place is here on the ship, giving the orders to other people who he know most likely is gonna die, and not make it back. It was great.
Ivanova never had a safe place with her commanding officer to say that before.
Yeah.
I feel like Sinclair would have punished her somehow. I don't know.
Yikes.
So, all of that's going down. We get a brief breakaway to Delenn talking to a guy, another Minbari. And they're being kind of cryptic, but I can't remember exactly what they were trying to do. It sounds like they're setting up like a meeting, or what is it where they were doing?
Well, they don't trust her. They think that something's wrong with her. She's an outsider now. And he just told her plain to her face. She was trying to give him a directive, and he was like, I don't know. And she's like, you don't have to understand to follow orders. You do what the hell I said. And
wait, hold on.
Yeah,
the exact words were, understanding is not required, only obedience.
Yes. I was like, ooh.
And I resonate greatly with that phrase. It felt very
authoritarian and dictator-ish.
Like a Sunday kind of statement.
When Ivanova said that, I'm like, let's kick her down a flight of stairs. We don't.
Oh my goodness, but he strongly challenged. He was like, yeah, if you were Minbari. But then I like how confident she was when he was like, well, I still kind of have to ask your permission for me to do this thing unless you're gonna challenge. And she's like, no, I ain't challenging you, boy. I ain't scared of you.
That is the thing, though. Delenn is she's very determined. And the problems that is cool and interesting. The problems that she runs into with Minbari are very complex. And she's just like, I got this. Look, I know what I'm doing. You don't. Y'all need to listen. Follow my lead.
And I also saw where, like, in that conversation, she no longer has the control that she once had.
True. Yep.
That's part of my. They kind of threw that in there though. Like it kind of didn't need to be there, but because the theme was control, and Minbari are very
they're very secretive, and they also are often very in control of their situations, except for very few, except like special occasions, right?
Mm-hmm.
So,
and them not understanding what's going on with her feels like a loss of control for everybody involved.
Which I'm kind of curious about that, but I guess it's more about the fact that the Grey Council don't tell people things at all. Because she knows what she's doing. The Grey Council knows what she's doing. But the other Minbari are like, what is she doing? And they're not telling them. So the Minbari, the average Minbari still don't know that humans have Minbari souls. And it's been 10 years. That's wild.
Like, we don't need to tell them this. And like, why don't you need to tell them this? Because you need them to keep fighting? Why? But then you stop them from fighting because of that you didn't tell them.
Right.
So their secretiveness is just either a superiority thing, or I think it's just a superiority thing because there's no logical reason for them to not tell them. Unless they're just going to be mad.
There has to be some sort of like fear of popular dissent. You know what I mean? Because the warrior caste already is frustrated with the religious caste. They're like, look, we were about to win this war and we were about to have a peaceful galaxy, and y'all said stop. So what other foolishness y'all trying to get us to do? Like, why do you got hair? Like, where'd that come from?
Why do you look like that?
Why'd y'all take our leader's body? Why'd y'all steal our leader's body? Like, what's up with that?
She done came back with a lace front. Like that.
Yeah. So later on we see the Cortez is leaving. They're getting ready to go. They're resupplied and everything. Maynard is about to go to the rim, back to the rim, which I'm going to point out, like, we've heard about the rim before. That's where Jakar went and did his survey and was finding alien species doing stuff they ain't supposed to be doing. The Cortez,
according to who?
According to, they've never seen them do anything before. Because anyway,
So
remember,
you're just going to determine that whatever they are doing is wrong.
what?
Well, probably also because their religious texts say that they're evil.
Yeah, that was a big part of it. They were saying, like, they're whispers in the dark. Anyway, we will definitely come back to that because it's a theme in these shows. But as the Cortez is traveling in hyperspace, there's a malfunction that severely disables the ship and throws it off course in hyperspace. They lose engines, they lose thrust, and for a while they don't have communications, so they're just out there. They quickly get the repairs to their communication. They send a distress signal to Babylon 5. Captain Sheridan receives it, and he's like, "Oh shoot, we need to hurry up and we need to get out there and go get them." And this is the part that I wanted to kind of like highlight, because this is where our friend Gallus is showing that, like, okay, we've heard all the details of this rescue mission. You're leaving the last starfighter out just hanging, which I do have a problem, but part of it is kind of solved by my imagination. But the problem is they sent only 4 starfighters.
Mm-hmm.
And I was under the impression that they have several hundred starfighters and pilots on the station.
Mm.
Because there are times when in season 1, Captain Sinclair is out there fighting with a whole squadron of starfighters. But I'm gonna let that go. I'm gonna let it go.
I'm thinking with the new president, because the old president wanted to put money into Babylon 5 to invest in the diplomatic stuff. But now the new president is like, we're going to focus more on Earth. So they probably took away their starfighters.
Oh, and they're running on a budget, a much smaller budget.
Yeah.
Budget. Hold on. Wait. Mel, are you telling me that there were budget cuts for the military?
Oh, well, okay. They're not cutting Earth's budget cuts. They're adding to Earth. They sent everybody back to Earth and left them with like a little bit.
Jeez.
Because he wanted to focus more on Earth. So that's my idea.
You know,
it doesn't make sense that they would cut from military.
I'll allow it though, because, like, I mean, how many ships are they going to animate?
I mean, they got a bigger budget, obviously.
Yeah. Especially for this season. I feel like when they blew up that Minbari cruiser last episode, or the last couple episodes, that kind of blew some of their special effects budget. Anyway.
But it's all CG, though. It's somebody sitting at a computer.
Yeah, but remember,
I guess it takes more hours to do that.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. It takes more hours. They have to spend so much time rendering. I don't know. Yeah, in the 90s, when I took a graphic design class in high school, and to render a short, like, 30-second video took a day. So, and my CG was nowhere near what they were doing on TV. So,
right.
Anyway,
we can AI that stuff now.
Yeah. So they send out the fighters, and they're doing their thing. They're what do they call that? It's the boats, the lifeboat thing.
Yeah, I forgot what they call it.
Say that again.
Was
shepherds?
Yes, the shepherds.
Shepherd's lifeline.
And they line up and they help. They're doing their search that way, which I can't remember the exact number that they used in the show, but they're going to be like 20 miles away. 20 kilometers away from each other. That's what it is. So, yeah, they're really far away from each other while they're looking. So there's a lot of hyperspace that they're covering. While they're looking, one of those mysterious ships just appears in hyperspace, swipes by, hits two of the fighters. One of them explodes. Guess who it is?
The black dude.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's Gallus. He screams and goes to his death. An honorable death. Because he was in the line of duty searching for someone, trying to help.
Yeah. Saving a whole ship of people.
And then the other one just kind of spins and he's just out there. The remaining fighters eventually make it in contact with the Cortez, and there was some suspense, and eventually the Cortez gets their ship, their engines repaired, and they're ready to come back, and they make it out of hyperspace. And this is kind of where I was like, this is interesting, because while Sheridan has handled some different types of crises on Babylon 5, this is a major one, because he was like hours from losing not his best friend, but a really good friend of his. Now to me, he comes across as a best friend because of the way they depicted the relationship on screen. But I don't know if we get too many more of Sheridan's friends on the show. But they're all sad because they're like, oh, we lost two fighters. He's like, where's the other two? He's like, oh, they're gone. And this is kind of where I was like, we're about to write these guys off. But then I remembered the white guy. Oh man, I wish I knew his name. Hold on, let me see if I can.
Probably starts with a J.
Yeah, he
have a lot of J names in this show for some reason.
Yeah,
especially with the humans.
But he is a character that they were trying to feature more on the show, and he does appear more often. Hold on, I'm gonna find his name. Guest starring,
and he's having like a meal with the commanding staff before he gets his before he gets his promotion, which is probably how he got the promotion. He's like, hey, well, that's right. Okay, so the guy that died was their leader, was their ranking officer.
Yeah, too. He seemed pretty up there.
Yeah. So now that he's dead, let's put our friend in that position, because we've been eating meals with him.
The other guy's name is Kiefer.
Kiefer, okay.
What the heck? Why did you name a person Kiefer? Anyway, but his
name is fermented milk.
Yeah. Oh, hey, all right. His full name, Lieutenant Warren Kiefer. And he's supposed to be kind of like the hothead pilot on the show. He does appear a couple of more times, but I don't think they get across. They don't develop his character too much, and I think because what they had him on the show for, they didn't really need him. But they used him for other types of storylines. But yeah, so. I liked that they were showing that Sheridan was very worried, and he's experiencing loss. But then they see that Kiefer. Oh, what's so cool is this, like, when they left Kiefer, his was the ship that found the Cortez, and he's just out there spinning, and the others help the Cortez lock onto the signal to make it back. But what Kiefer is doing, like, it's just him and the Cortez first, and he's like spinning around and shooting in one direction. And I thought this was really cool because it's like, even though he's supposed to be a hot-headed pilot, he's smart. He knows how to get a signal across, and he believes that the other people are smart enough. And once they figure it out, he's happy. Like, everybody's happy. Like, oh shoot, that's the way home. We need to go that direction. And then they found the other Furies, and he wasn't able. His ship was disabled, and there wasn't a way to retrieve him. But then later, he is able to get some power back to his engines. The dark ship appears again in hyperspace, and Kiefer locks on and follows him on the way out too, which very fortunate, but also really cool and smart thing. Mm-hmm. And then that's how he gets back to the station. Everybody's happy. They're celebrating. Kiefer gets his promotion, and Sheridan actually accepts that, hey, you know what? My job is to be the commander, is to command the station, and I'm going to do the best job that I can. I can't do everything. I'm going to do the thing that I'm going to do.
I also kind of thought Kiefer losing control of his ship was another example of control.
Do you want to expand on that?
They showed him he lost control. So it's not about the control that he has. There were situations throughout the show with people where they don't have control or where they do have control, and them just being affected by how much control they have. I said control a lot.
Yeah, that's good, and I think that's great that you pointed that out, because, like, some examples, the senior staff are not in control of what they eat.
Mm-hmm. but the doctor is having control over what he eats, and being kind of a jerk about the power that he has over that.
Yeah,
and the fact that them being scared of him coming around to check on what he eats shows that they respect him.
Yeah,
so that's cool.
And Garibaldi, he's trying to circumvent it, and he's pulling all of his connections to try to smuggle on some butter.
He had a bottle of olive oil stuck to some extra virgin olive oil. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because that's a heavy material to be shipping.
Yeah,
I don't like the way he said extra virgin.
Was it Garibaldi that said that?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it was like extra virgin. I don't know, it was a little creepy.
Because Garibaldi is creepish. Sheridan doesn't have control over this. He doesn't have a control over the station, and Ivanova pointed out, like, hey, you're a captain, you hold a tight ship, that might not work here. I thought that was kind of cool. You pointed out how the Minbari don't feel like they have the control that they've had,
and especially Delenn. She doesn't have control over she doesn't have control in many situations, because she's lost her position in the Great Council. Mm-hmm. And then the other worker Minbari don't really respect her because they don't know what she is.
That sounds terrible, the way you said that.
It must be.
Like, we don't even know what you are.
Yeah, he's like, we're not sure if you're Minbari, so why should we listen to you?
That sounds super xenophobic.
It does. Well, I mean, they are. They were about to wipe us out until they found out we might be them.
Yeah.
So,
I think what culminates is Sheridan's and Delenn's conversation, where they have that, like, discussion about the universe and how you may just be in the right place at the right time, or you're in the place that you're supposed to be. And
sound very Wicca.
Say that again.
This sound very Wicca.
I bet. Like, we get these spiritual quotes and talks from Delenn all the time. You're in outer space and all this stuff is happening, and she has to be the mystic. And kind of, sort of, that idea is what solves the problem. You know, Kiefer was at the right place at the right time, helped the Cortez get home. At the right place at the right time. That mysterious ship was at the right place at the right time, which also helped Kiefer get home. And also at the very end, the comical, kind of sort of comical part where Garibaldi finally reveals the reason why he's having the Bunya counter. You know, he's at the right place at the right time, and Dr. Franklin relents and even joins him for it. Which, that closing dinner scene was, you know, it was okay, but, you know, more comical. I thought it was hilarious where Franklin was like, I could just feel my arteries tightening just being in the room. And I'm like, God, it must smell like nothing but fried butter in that room.
It shouldn't be more butter than, I think from what I saw, it might have been equal parts butter to olive oil. Because I had looked up the recipe while we were talking.
That's a lot of butter.
It is. Because what I saw was like 2/3, no. Was it 2/3 olive oil and 6 tablespoons of butter?
This dude said a half pound of butter.
Half pound. Like, how much are you making? So he was already making enough for several people.
So, can we just make an educated guess and say that Garibaldi's father died of heart failure?
Some people say that butter is good for your heart, and some people say, I mean, it depends on how much you're eating and how frequently.
If you're eating a half pound of butter, butter is great to clog your arteries. So yeah. Which I went to high school with this girl, and she revealed to me the thing. It's not the most disgusting thing that a person can tell me, but it's up there. She said that she was, as a kid, she would eat whole sticks of butter.
Oh yeah.
No.
You know what? I found out I was a teenager that I inadvertently. Okay, so my dad. So without really knowing, like, I was eating a pie that apparently had a whole lot of butter in it, and I didn't know until I actually helped my dad make bean pies. And for each, and he only knew how to make them in bulk because he used to make them in New York to sell them with Nation of Islam.
Okay.
Yeah. So he's supposed to eat like one slice, but my dad's pies were really good. So well, he would make like 7 pies, and we would need to mash like 8 sticks of butter. Jesus. So there's at least a stick of butter in each whole pie.
So yummy.
Yeah. But then, so you're eating about an eighth of a stick of butter, at least an eighth of a stick of butter for each slice of pie.
My heart just flooded thinking about somebody ingesting so much.
But the beans are probably supposed to balance it out because you got the fiber. I don't know.
Yeah. All right. Any other cool, fun things about this episode?
Let's see. Oh, there was that one scene where the second scene where they showed the Cortez out of control before they got found. I'm sorry. Right after they got lost, the second time they showed them, and the captain's going around to different people, like trying to get things fixed and stuff. Yeah. And he's yelling at them, and there's no background noise. And I'm like, why are you yelling? There's no more fire. But then I thought about it, like, the second time, it was like, maybe someone forgot to put the background sounds, like they wouldn't have all the like, if the officers are running around talking and stuff and there's like stuff on fire or whatever, yeah, they would be yelling. That makes sense because they did in the first scene where everything started blowing up. But why are you yelling in the second scene where there's nothing back there? but like that's probably something that they would put in post and didn't do.
Yeah,
it just felt off. I'm like, why are you yelling now? Like, everything's quiet now. Or either he's just that excitable and is like, I really need to get this done, and I'm not paying attention to my volume.
My thought too was the actor that's playing Captain Maynard. I thought he was doing pretty good, but there were some parts I'm like, did this dude just take a drink and then just start acting right afterwards? Because don't get me wrong, there's good he has good chemistry with everybody on the screen, but there are times I'm like, this dude is sloshed.
Yeah, and I felt like it kind of made him feel more like he's been living out on the rim when it's only his crew. Apparently they can be casual about stuff because they're not interacting with too many authorities or whatever. Like,
yeah, they
just out there.
Yeah, they were out there for 5 years.
Yeah, they're on their own.
They did a Star Trek mission.
They got comfortable.
They did the Enterprise mission. It was a 5-year mission.
When they were in the when they were eating together, telling the story where he first introduced the fact that he saw the black thing. I noticed like how he talks out of the side of his mouth. I'm like, this dude looks like a pirate. He kind of acts a little like a pirate. Like, and the beard and stuff didn't help either. Like, you look like a space pirate.
He has a beard, but the beard is not very neat. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, as a military guy, he just, you're right. He's very relaxed, very casual with his crew.
Yeah. And it's kind of feral because they've been out there on their own.
And the crew, they weren't like getting back with him. They had some very strong responses with him when they were interacting. Not Ivanova strong, but just kind of very comfortable, you know?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I thought that Maynard's scenes with Sheridan were really good. Like, those two actors talking, fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't have the problems that some of the other one-time guests have with acting, because like, remember the president talking to Sinclair and it was just awful. It was like cue card, like a cold read of some cue cards, and they're like, that's good enough, you know.
We'll chalk it up to like the delay and the transfer of the signal.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, but then also because he is like kind of the feral officer who's been out of contact with everyone for like 5 years, give or take, because he does go in for restocking, but for 5 years they've pretty much been out there, so he's supposed to look out of place. And him being in any way out of, like, his acting was good. I think that's why you were comparing him to the president. Yeah. But him feeling out of place made him in place.
Yeah, like, he was a very interesting character to watch. Mm-hmm. And the actor made, like, you know, he made the most of it. He had a lot, like, the instant he shows up on the scene, all you see is personality. The only thing that was missing was a glass of scotch in his hand. The other character that I do want to point out is Orwell. Mm-hmm. He's the black guy in Cargo who helped Garibaldi smuggle in guanyacauda ingredients. And that was interesting.
Wasn't he a comedic actor? Now, I remember him being in like not so serious roles.
Yeah. When I saw him, I was like, oh, that's that one comedian. I can't tell you where I've seen him. It's kind of like, I think we talked about this, Damian. The movie that I remember, he's in it. I can't give you any other details, but he's in it.
So I just brought it up. His name is Miguel A. Nunez. So he's He's of Hispanic descent as well. Darkman, he's still hanging out there. He's about 60 years old. And yeah, he's in a bunch of... He's in Joanna Man.
Yeah, okay. That's a comedy. But did he play one of the bad guys?
Let me see.
Was that the one with the blonde hair?
I don't remember. But I have his whole discography here. He was in Joanna Man, Kicking It Old School. He was in Life. He was recently in Friends and Lovers. No, that's in 2005. Who was he?
Joanna Man was about a cross-dresser, right?
Yeah. I don't remember that too much. He was in this movie. Oh, this TV series called The Family Business. Carl Weber's The Family Business. So he's still out there working. I thought he did a great job too, because he came off as a crack dealer or as like the middleman. You know what I'm saying? He's the guy that you got to talk to get things done. And that whole scene I thought was really good. Him talking to Garibaldi and explaining how he's going to sneak the merchandise on to the station. And they explained the problem with weight and all that stuff. And I'm like, that's fantastic. I'm glad y'all thinking about that, because other shows, they would be like, yeah, I'll just get it. Star Trek, they were like, oh, I'll make it. We'll talk to the replicators.
Oh, yeah, they got replicators. They don't have to do that.
Yeah.
I don't know why that. Never mind. It's all subject.
But I just thought that whole, like, and he appeared twice. He was another black man with a name and lines. He even had a pretty, I would say a pretty respectable job, because like in transport, you know, he's a transporter. In DS9, Cassidy Yates, she was a transporter. So she flew a cargo ship. So it's kind of like, hey, you're in good company there.
That's an important job.
Yeah.
And of course, Garibaldi would know who could smuggle him stuff.
Yeah, which, let's be serious. The reason why Garibaldi knows is because he probably tried to bust somebody. And he was like, oh, this is the guy. Like, oh, okay, well, you know what? Let's keep you around because I might need something.
Yeah. He's cricket when he want to be.
Yep. He knows who's who on the station. Yep. All right. So we'll get out of here. All in all, this episode did come across as more of like in general, like a filler. It pushed the story forward just a little bit. It adds kind of mystery to the ships, because you're starting to get some background. Like, these aren't just new people. These are people that people have heard of and seen. They're making their presence known. And we're also seeing Sheridan figuring out how to deal with these things.
Yeah. Well, we got the contrast between him and his friend in order to give us more of a view on Sheridan. And then this is going to like fit in better when they introduce whatever the mystery thing is, so that it's not showing up as a Deus Ex Machina.
Right.
That's the point of this.
Yeah.
I mean, but they've been throwing them in there and in most episodes, but this one is the like episode where like, we really need you to know that there's a thing out there.
It's not just a localized thing. This thing is everywhere.
They can live in hyperspace too. Oh my God. And navigate it. And then that just gives more power to the mystery of this. And it gives us more information about it, because we know that they can pop in and out. Now we know they can live in hyperspace. So we just got a little bit more info.
That makes them all the more scarier. Which, like, human ships are so weak in this show. We'll get more into that later. But
I mean, we're still using paper, and our highest form of data transport and collection is through crystals.
I know, right? Trying to brute force space travel, and the only thing that we got was like, oh well, some aliens made jump gates and we can use those. We rent them.
I think that falls under the whole colonization theme too.
Yeah.
Like, we gotta use. I mean, it's nice to learn from other cultures, but at the same time, it's like, at some point, you're just mooching.
I mean, who are the worst colonizers, the humans or the Centauri?
Humans.
Thank you, Dominga.
There we go. Gottlieb. The Centauri, because they put their souls in the humans.
They did.
That's
going in there.
No, that's the
their souls just happened to. Oh, the Minbari.
That's the Minbari, but I guess
they're just being reincarnated as humans. They have no control over that. The Centauri are the flamboyant Londo. Yeah, I want to call them the peacocks.
Londo. Oh yeah, they are disco chickens, y'all.
Yeah. Well, thank y'all for joining us for this episode of Voices in Hyperspace. You can find us out there on the internet. We're on Spotify, we're on Apple Music, Amazon Music, and a wide variety of podcast aggregators. One really good thing to do is check out our YouTube if you can't catch us on your favorite podcast streaming service. Also, we're going to be doing some things exclusive there eventually. We're also on TikTok, and we have our Facebook group, Voices in Hyperspace, where we share a lot of memes, ask some fun sci-fi questions, and just hang out.
Mm-hmm. Don't forget to subscribe.
Yeah, don't forget to subscribe.
It's Mel's Rebellion.
There we go.
Join me for the Rebellion. Yeah, so melsrebellion.com, and you can find me on all social media as Mel's Rebellion.
Oh, yes. We should join the rebellion. In this case.
Yes. The rebellion is finding asylum. In sci-fi. Yes.
And I'm Legendary Black Lion. Find me, like, honestly, for real, Instagram at Legendary Black Lion. We'll do the best there.
I am Nita Painter. You can find me on my website, nitapainter.com.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
And
this is Sunday. Bye, y'all.